everyone, and welcome to another episode on Bad and Desi. This episode, we are going global. Today, we are here with London and Mumbai based singer, songwriter, and aspiring actress, Shai. She's blazing her own trail in India's music scene, from brand campaigns with Dyson, Bershka, Smirnoff, and NTS Radio, to music placements on Love Island and Netflix's Lucifer. She's done it all. She's collaborated with amazing artists like Badsha and Frank Walker, sometimes as a writer, sometimes as the performing artist. And fun fact, she's one of the only artists in India focusing on hyperpop, aiming to make it the next big genre for the iPop scene. Welcome, Shai, and thank you so much for being here with me today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's such a delight. Now, obviously, I gave you an expanded intro, but for those that don't know you, how would you introduce yourself?
Like how you introduced me.
That whole
Literally.
entire shebang.
Yeah, because it's bang on. Like that's who I am. And
Love it. Okay, Shy. No, we'll warm things up a little bit. We won't go too deep. Start off with a quick game. So, because you've lived in London as well as Mumbai, you're a
yeah,
global girl and a local girl. So, I'm going to give you a few questions and then we'll see which side of you comes out more, the global gal
okay.
or the desi gal. You
Okay.
ready?
Yeah, I love game.
Okay. First, are you more likely to drink chai or coffee?
Try
In the studio, are you more likely to be eating a samosa or a protein bar?
protein bar.
At the airport, are we going to see you in a sweat set or a kurta and slides?
Sweatset.
On the dance floor, is it R&B, hip hop, or is it a Bollywood banger?
Bollywood banger. Any day.
You're having a bad day? Are you journaling or you're calling mom?
Calling mom and dad and my sister.
Your dream collaboration, is it Charlie XCX or is it Badsha?
Well, I've collaborated with Badsha. Now it's Johnny. Yeah.
That was a trick. Okay, you just won the Grammys, you've just won an award. Are you celebrating with champagne or mithai?
Mithai.
That's more likely. Really good considering that Diwali's coming up. I'm actually in mithai season myself.
I'm always in mithai season though. I prefer mithai to like chocolates any day.
100%. Now, Shai, hyperpop. Before I met you, I had no idea what it was. Please explain to the viewers what hyperpop is and how come you got into it.
Okay. So there's not really an explanation. It's like, it's kind of in the name. And to be honest, I think I had mentioned when I met you as well, like, I didn't know that I was making that genre. Because
Mm.
for me, my personality is like hyper and pop. And then,
Yeah.
and then I was like, oh, this is an actual genre of music. And it's basically just like the only explanations I can actually give are reference artists. So there would be like Charlie XCX is your best bet in terms of somebody who's actually making hyperpop that is universally known at the minute. Other than that, it's like influences, other influences for me. But it was just a happy mistake and I love it. And it's so exciting to actually know what I'm making. So without knowing that I was making it.
And honestly, I had no idea what it was. I once saw it on I think I was just scrolling on Instagram and I was like, this is catchy. Like, this is really good. And it ends up being like your song. And I'm like, I love this. It's so good. Like, it's like a bit of blend of Bollywood, R&B. And then I wasn't exposed to it until I actually saw your stuff. So I personally love it. So how did you first get into music? Was it always something that you were doing?
So my whole family is very musically in tune. So my mom did her degree in Indian classical, and so there was always like desi music in the house and like old school, like classic desi music, like old Bollywood, romantic songs. Like that was just in the house with my mom. And then my dad used to head MT India. So
Mm.
like the creative side of things. So he's always listened to world music. And so I was exposed to like a lot of genres at a very young age. And I didn't realize, how valuable that was.
Yeah,
Because when
right.
you're smaller, you're just like maybe you're watching MTV or something at the time, sad times.
Yeah.
Out now, right? But like you don't necessarily have exposure to so many genres. So I think
Mm.
that really impacted like who I am now and how I'm making music now. So there's no formula, and as a songwriter, I'm writing all different genres. So it's really exciting for me because I don't have to conform to any.
Yeah, I guess that's exactly why they say you are a product of your immediate environment. And for you in your situation, your immediate environment was so many things. So your product that you're producing is just an amalgamation of every single thing that you've experienced from your childhood, which is so cool. It actually makes you stand out a lot. I'm curious to know what point of your career so far do you feel like you had your I made it moment? Or do you feel like you haven't had that yet?
I feel like I've had a couple of moments where I'm like, okay, I'm doing what I'm meant to do. But I feel like as an artist and as somebody in any creative industry, you always want to level up, you know? So for me, I feel like I'm constantly, like literally my vision board is like right now. You can't see it, but like literally right now. And I feel like there's so many things on there that I haven't achieved yet and I want to and I'm working towards. So I don't feel like there's any point that I've been like, oh yeah, I'm done, I've made it. I still feel like there's a long way to go, but I feel like along the journey I've had a lot of moments where I'm like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. Okay, I am where I'm supposed to be, you know? And that's through like my my merit, you know, not necessarily because my parents are like, oh yeah, Shai, you're doing a great job. Nothing like that. It's just what's happened, you know, it feels right.
So, any highlights that you've experienced so far that kind of gave you that validation that you were talking about that you are doing the right thing? You're
Yeah, of course. So I feel like one of the big ones was, yeah, definitely like working with Balcha because that was very random. I just done like a little version of his song with a verse of my own. And he reached out to me, you know, like just on Instagram, like, yo, I love this. Let's do something. And then we ended up doing a song on his album. And then we also ended up doing another like single with Dyson. So that was very cool for me. And also I love Punjabi music. So I was just like, yes, you know, so that was a really nice moment. And then like in terms of the Western world and the other side of me, I guess, writing
yeah.
songs for other people was really validating, you know, because then I don't feel like I have to just be my artist project. I can also be a part of other people's. And it's a really nice understanding to have being a songwriter, but also being an artist. It's a very different feeling, you know.
Yeah, I actually don't know a lot of singers that are songwriters as well. Is that quite common?
It kind of depends. There's a lot of like really big artists who have like 12 writers on a song.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of artists who, in their own right, write their own song. Like Ray is a great example because she's literally written for so many other people and herself, and you can hear it in the music. Ed Sheeran, like there's so many uh songwriters first in a sense. So I definitely resonate with that a lot.
Yeah, I think it's such a beautiful skill to have. You're able to write a song, but then also bring it to life with your voice. I think it's such a beautiful thing. And then other people around the world listen to it. How does that make you feel? Like I found you online. I'm in Australia. You were in, I think, London at the time. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it feels amazing. It feels so good when people reach out. You know, I get a lot of like messages on Instagram, and like for me, the goal is very clear. A lot of like Asian women will understand this because there's so few of us in the creative industry, you know. Like, of course, with acting, it's different, but I'm talking about specifically the music. You
Mm,
know, there aren't many like female pop stars if you think about it. Now things are changing, and it's like really exciting. But in the start of my career as well, I remember like a lot of people would sort of like they pit us against each other, and it's constantly like a competition. And I think from that point, like when that started happening, I was like, no, 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 we have to work together, you know. And so for me, I have like I love like repping other artists, like even in Mumbai. It's like I will reach out to them, and be like, let's work together. Obviously, if I resonate with music as an artist, you know. So I feel like there's a lot of changes happening throughout the scene now, which is like really exciting. And there's a lot more, you know, which doesn't necessarily mean only Bollywood. It's you as an artist, you as your identity, you know. And there's no restrictions, so it's great.
I love that you mentioned that. Do you feel like, as you mentioned, there are less females potentially in the pop section? Do you know why? Can you explain potentially if there's any impediments that?
Yeah, I can actually. I mean, this is my personal opinion, but I feel like um there's always been like something we're required to conform to. You know, like I've had this experience where I've spoken to a couple of labels and they want to like change me, you know, like there was this one label, I obviously won't mention who. They were like, yeah, we want to make you like the Shraddha Kapoor of music. And I was like, Matlab kya hai? Like, what does this mean?
I actually don't
Like
understand what that is.
I don't understand either, but basically they were trying to kind of say like girl next door vibes, like kind of changing a lot of who you are, like they were like, why are you wearing your bindi? At the time I used to wear like butterfly clips a lot, like, a lot of cute things. They were like, we don't want you to do this. We want to like change you and make you into something that basically essentially like an item girl. There's a lot of things that Bollywood knows works, and so if you have that look that is like a typical heroine type of look, then they'll use that, and they'll want to like kind of change it. I think like if you're clear on your brand, then nothing's going to stop you really, and that's like one of my friends, Talvinder, who's a really really well-known artist and a really good artist. What I love about him is he's stuck to his identity, he's stuck to his brand. And I feel like what separates you as a pop star or like as an artist, like a potential global artist, is knowing your brand and not conforming to what
Absolutely. Otherwise, you're just going
the
to
suits want
blind
you to conform
yourself.
to.
Yeah,
So
I love that you've mentioned that. And it's really great to see that you've nailed your brand. Has there been any situations where a deal or a situation has been really irresistible for you, but you've had to fight with your internal self to stay strong and abide by your brand?
yeah, and I feel like that comes out of really knowing who you are and what you want to represent, and not being scared. Because I know, for example, that the music I'm making is niche right now.
Yeah.
you know not many people are making it, not many even know about Hyperpop, but that doesn't scare me. That actually really excites me, you know because I'm making music I want to listen to, and hopefully other people will connect to it. And if they do, amazing. Because for me, a cult audience or like a core fan base is more important to me than the masses, because the masses will come if they have to, and I've seen it firsthand with some of my friends that I mentioned. So for me, I'm not scared. I'm excited.
It's kind of like a new product coming into the market, and you are doing so well by marketing it aligned to the brand that you have. I think every single piece of content that you drop as well, it's personable, it's relatable, is it's not the girl next door vibe. It makes you more like, I actually relate to this person. I want to get to know her, but also what is she producing? And then you find yourself actually relating to the lyrics, which I think is such a beautiful, beautiful way of you doing your strategy. That's great. Now, just based on what we've just talked about, there are a lot of emerging artists, as you've mentioned. The area of in the music industry, particularly in the South Asian music industry, it's growing. There's a lot of new faces that are popping up. Based on your experience so far, what do you think might be a blocker for these people? What's something about the industry that you wish didn't exist for these emerging artists?
I think a little bit more self-belief, because I do feel with desi situations in general, there's a lot of judgment, especially for women. And it always has been like that. So, whether it comes from a background situation, religious situation, whatever it is, there's always that little voice in your head, I think, for us as desis, because we care about what our families think. And like, I'm just being real here, I care. I would want my family to support me. I would want my family to love what I'm doing. I can't expect them to understand what I'm doing, but I want their support. So I think that's a genuine block in a way for a lot of artists, because it's tough to explain sometimes what we're doing.
So you feel like community support might be a blocker in the achieving success, right? That kind of misconception that exists. And it still exists no matter what happens, like that sort of stuff. No matter how much society progresses, success is tied to like a, a job title for
Yeah,
people of our culture, which is fine.
that's what I mean. Like, I feel like it's a genuine fear for a lot of artists. Also, like, if you don't come from like a possibly like well-off background, that's even scarier, because then you're going against your family, but you're also not sure if you can sustain it.
Mhm.
So I think there's a lot of different layers to it, but I do feel like ultimately, if you have that will and you have that belief in you, and you know that whatever you do is going to come with judgment, like in any situation,
No
and you
matter what
still
you
go
do
for
in
it,
life, people have stuff to say.
you just have to go for it. You just have to believe, and then whatever happens, happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, 100%. That's so true. Now, just based on your knowledge, you've been in the industry for how long now? How many years?
I mean, I would say my artist project genuinely started only about 2 years ago. but I feel like my songwriting journey has been like maybe 6 years.
Okay. Okay. And based on the 6-year landscape, do you feel like the industry has become more supportive of emerging talent, or is it restrictive based on your experience?
No, no, I think it's become way more like COVID, even though it was a really difficult time for a lot of people. It also opened a lot of doors. It opened a lot of doors to collaboration. It opened, like, around the world. It opened a lot of doors to explore things because at the time, for example, in India, there weren't many films being made because of the situation. So that's where independent artists started like just posting on Instagram or wherever, TikTok, all that stuff. So I feel like now, because of social media as well, we're not restricted to what the labels want. We
Yeah,
can do
right.
what we want, and then the labels will follow.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
So,
Yeah, it's very empowering. Like the power of creating a trend is in your hands. Like physically, you can pick up a phone and create a trend, and then everyone around the world can follow you.
I
It's
mean,
a
but I also
really
have to touch upon like people who struggle with social media as well. Because I do feel like a lot of artists, they don't want to do social media, they just want to like release music and be in the studio. And I have days like that too, where I'm just like, do I really have to post a reel about what I'm doing right now? Can I just be present in the studio? You know? Remember we were talking about it when we were together and you were like, you should just film your day. And I was like, but I don't want to film my day. I want to do my day, So it just depends. But if you enjoy it, then that's obviously really helpful because you can create a bond on Instagram.
That's right. It depends on like the type, like how you want to be perceived on social media. Like your brand, for example, is very hyperpop, cool girl vibes. One of your content pillars, now I'm starting to use my marketing knowledge, would be definitely like BTS, day in the life. But with someone that's a little bit more like hardcore, I can't think of an artist right now, it's a bit more hardcore. They won't be filming a day in the life. You've got to pick the right pillars to represent your brand. So, how important do you think social media is in today's society to get your music around the world?
I mean, I think it's pretty important. It just is like it's just a tool, so it's just how you use it, I think,
I
in
sound
terms
like
of
I'm about to
sharing.
pitch you some sort of marketing strategy.
Be surprised, Nish. But I think it is really important. Like it just is in every way, even in collaborations. Like for me, if I'm being real here, like
Mm,
Bacha wouldn't have found me if it wasn't for Instagram. So it's just a lot of people wouldn't have found me if it wasn't for Instagram. I wouldn't have found Talvinder if it wasn't for Instagram. It's just things like that. And it's not just about meeting an artist. Like for me, it's really important to be able to bond with the artist. So I do things a little differently. I like to meet the person before I go into a session
yeah,
because I
okay.
just feel like I don't mind doing it just like going into a session. Sometimes magic comes out of that as well. But
Hmm.
I more so care about who you are as a person, which,
Yeah.
you can look at it from two sides. Because if you don't like the person, you may not want to make music with them, but you love their music. So it's a tough one. But I do feel like as a person, how I am, I want to connect with you on a human level. And then if music comes, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't really care. Whereas a lot of artists, some of them who have a different agenda, maybe it's more like, I need to have a song with this artist so that I blow up, you know? And then you can see the inauthenticity of that sometimes.
Yeah.
This is a personal opinion again. This is all personal, but I'm sharing anyway.
From a different perspective, like with in terms of business, like when we're developing relationships with our clients, you work better with clients that you vibe with better. Very similarly, I guess, with you, your music comes out a lot more authentically when you are on the same wavelength as the person that's in the studio with you. I feel like I understand the music landscape after like talking to you for 2 sessions. I'm like, I get you. I have no talents in the music space at all, though. So the most I
You have
can
a
do is
lot of other
admin.
talent.
Now, we just talked about social media. You've secured great collaborations and friendships, aka me, around the world. But my main question to you right now is if you could think of one artist to collaborate with around the world, you haven't done it yet, who would it be and why?
I'm looking at my vision board right now because I'm just like, who do I want to collaborate with that I haven't collaborated with?
Damn, you've manifested all your collaborations already.
I know, I know. I mean, I'm trying, I'm trying. There are many more, but I reckon I would probably say Pink Panthers.
Yeah.
Just is she's the vibe, obviously. And I think more than that, like I can relate to her. I find her really cute, but she's also a baddie. And a lot of the time I feel that like, when I think about if I'm going into like my brand and things like that, I struggle because I'm like, I have like cute days, but I have like bad days, and I'm a bit of both. And can't, I don't want to conform to like girl next door and I don't want to conform to bad girl, I'm somewhere in the middle. And I
Yeah.
feel like she has that as well for me personally. And I just love her music. So
I can literally just envision like the collaboration already. Like it makes so much sense why you'd say her name. Let's put it out into the universe and let's hope it comes true for you. Because based on my knowledge of you so far, anything that you have wanted so far, Shy, you're either on the path to achieve it or you have already. So let's just knock on wood and hope this happens.
knocking, waiting.
Now, one thing that you mentioned, which actually got me thinking, was female artists,
Yeah.
especially in the Indian music space. What's one piece of advice based on your experiences? This doesn't have to reveal too much about your experiences, but what's one piece of advice you'd like to give them?
Female music artists around the world, is that what you're saying? I would say tunnel vision. I would say tunnel vision, to be honest. I just think what I mean by that is just don't look sideways.
Hmm.
Don't look at what other people are doing, women or men, doesn't matter. Just what do you want to do? Focus on that. Even if you're scared, because you're only going to find out if you focus on you. Comparison kills everything. It just does,
It's like
So,
life advice.
yeah, I mean, it is. You know what? I feel like with the creative industry, it is life advice. I just finished an acting workshop literally yesterday, and it was all life. It was just therapy. So I just feel like don't compare yourself. Why are you comparing yourself? You're gonna lose yourself in that comparison. Just focus on what you
Mhm.
want to do. You know it inside. Just do it and see what happens. It's so amazing to not know what's gonna happen.
Why do you think women potentially might be a little bit more insecure than men?
Because of the men. I really do think it's just we're always being compared. I mean, I'll give you an analogy, okay? Actually, it's not an analogy, it's an actual meme that I saw, and it's so good and it's so accurate. So there's this meme I'll tell you really quickly, and it was a Love Island situation. So it was all the six guys and all the six girls, okay, at the time of shooting, okay? So all pictures of them, and they look how they look, yeah? It's then 20 years down the line, all the men have like wrinkles and like white hair and all of that, and all the women look the same. And I was like, this insinuation of the fact that we have to conform to these standards is bizarre. I mean, you do you. If you want to get Botox or whatever, if you want to like feel better about yourself, do it. I have no objection. But don't put that pressure on us. Like we don't have to. So that's it then. If we look like a certain way, then we're winning in life.
Exactly. It's interesting that like men don't have that role model example of what does a good man look like, whereas there is definitely when you think about aesthetic as a female or someone who has a little bit more of a feminine aura, like you have a very particular visual that comes to your mind. What is
Yeah,
beauty? That's a
exactly.
really interesting point.
Exactly. And then we're also on the flip, if we are, let's say, 50 or 60 and looking a type of way, then in the Desi society, that's looked down upon. Like
Mm,
if you're being a little bit out there, or if you're, you know, I mean, the only person I can think of is Malaika Arora, but she's so fit. Like she's
fit.
stunning. She's killing
Oh
it
my
for
God.
50, you
All
know?
these Bollywood actresses though, like in their 50s, most of them are really fit because it's
Yeah.
a lot of work that they have to do to stay that way.
But what I mean is like Shakira, JLo, all these people, like we should be like cheering them on as opposed to in the
Yeah,
Desi
they're looking
community.
down on them.
Especially, we tend to say like, sharam nahi hai, matlab, you know? And that's not fair, right? Like if you want to
Yeah.
do it.
Goes back to what you were saying before about how no matter what you do,
Yeah.
people are always going to say stuff like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what career you have, what hair color you have, what your height is, how fat you are, how thin you are. People always have stuff to say.
Tunnel vision, baby.
The moral of the story, emerging female artists, this is how we walk.
Exactly.
Okay, Shia, you've done a lot in your life. If we look at like if you had a resume of your life, it's beautiful. Now, there's things like your music on Love Island and Netflix, Lucifer. So did you write those songs? Tell us about what you produced for both of those shows.
So it wasn't a production situation. It was just by chance. So a lot of the time, if you have a publisher, if you have a manager, and I do have one in the UK who's like my family now. So you pitch to these shows and or they will ask like Warner or whoever it's with will ask for songs. So you basically just send them across and then if they like them and if it fits the scene, then they use it. So it's just like by chance. And that was really exciting. With Lucifer, I knew it was going to happen. With Love Island, I didn't. And my sister and I were literally watching it together. And then the song started, and we both started screaming. And my parents thought that we were fighting. And I was like, no, no, we're not fighting. This is like, oh my God, this is surreal. Because I'm
You had no
a big
idea.
Love
You were
Island.
watching the show and then it just popped up.
Yeah, with Love Island. With Lucifer, I
Yeah.
knew it was going to happen.
What do you mean you had no idea? You were just literally chilling and then your song's on the TV.
Yep. So it's pretty cool, you know. But
I
yeah.
can understand why you were screaming.
Yeah, I know. Typical, right? Indian household means they're fighting.
Now, Badsha, I feel like was that your biggest collaboration, or is there something else that is highlight for you?
That's my biggest collaboration so far within the Desi industry. But I mean, I have so many artists I want to work with and am working with as well. Because I love collaborating. I think this is the thing as a songwriter, you love collaborating because one, you love listening to other people's stories. Two, you love writing about them. Three, you kind of like blend genres. So for me, I love collaboration. And I think after the next couple of singles that I drop off my own, it's just going to be collaboration central because it's just the best thing.
What other benefits does collaboration provide?
Well, one, you grow as a person because you're literally listening to people's stories. It's literally the same as acting, which is why I feel I love both these industries so much. It's because with acting, you get to play out a character, and with songwriting, you're writing about another character, you know? And I do feel
Mm.
like you have to be an empath. And a lot of the time, people would like say that that was like a negative trait because, you know, then you feel so much and like, you know, I would get overwhelmed with those feelings. But I feel like it's a power for me with my music and my acting because then you really get to give yourself to the character. You really get to give yourself to the song without being scared. And even if you're scared, it's fine. Anything, matlab, cry, whatever. It's cool, you know. But at least you get to fully be in it, you know. And also just letting go. Like if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, whatever bad is, it's subjective. Whatever good is subjective. You just go with the flow, you know. And that takes a long time. Okay, I sound like I'm giving yarn right now, but I've like taken time to
You
get to this place, you know. So
It's so valid though. Shai, you've been in the industry technically for like 6 years. So all of these little things, they are gyan. That is your gyan. So 100% it grows you as a person. Do you feel like collaborating with people, particularly across the world, also grows your audience, also grows potentially the opportunities for you? What else? Has there been any global collaborations that you've done so far that you want to talk about?
so um I mean, I did the Frank Walker one, which was during COVID actually.
Frank Walker?
And yeah, that was during COVID. And we did it on a Zoom session. So I
Ah.
think most definitely, you know, it does open up so many doors for you, right? Because then you're exposed to an audience that you didn't have before, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I do feel like, if I'm being really honest, when it comes to like hyperpop or any sort of slightly more niche genre initially, my audience is probably going to come from the NRI desis, you know, or
For
the
sure.
Western world. And then it's going to resonate here. Possibly. This is just my opinion, you know. Because it's just like I feel like what a lot of people who've had the privilege of living abroad have is they have a world understanding. They have a slightly more open mind because they've been exposed to more, you know. So they're more likely to be like, oh, what is this? Hindi? Hyperpop? Huh? You know?
Yeah.
Sick. Or no, not for me, whatever it is, you know. But like they're more open to exploring.
Yeah. But you're currently in Mumbai, right? So do
Yeah,
you
right now.
feel based on your like surroundings right now, is it getting more westernized?
You know what? It's funny, okay? It is. It is getting, it's always been more westernized, but that's because also social media now, like, there's exposure through there, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to having to actually physically travel. But it's also, I think, depending on who you are, like, I want to embrace my desiness, you know? You know, so like when I went to England, I used to wear a flower in my hair initially all the time. And then
And the
it went up, upgraded to the bindi.
Yeah, gotcha. I love the fact that you wear a bindi. When I saw you in person, I was like, I love that. I should be doing that too.
It's become like my chappa now, you know. It's like, Shai, if I don't wear a bindi on my lives on Instagram, people are like, why aren't you wearing a bindi? And I'm like, I'm at home. And also I got a pimple the other day because of it. So like I need to leave it like free. But it's
But you're
so
right,
nice to
it's your
see that
brand.
association, you know. Like
Yeah.
that's again, we go back to the brand side of things. Like people, when people see pink and when they see Hello Kitty and when they see bubbles from the Powerpuff Girls or when they see a bindi, it reminds them of me. Like certain people, obviously not the whole world yet, inshallah, one day. But you know,
Eventually, the world,
yeah,
for sure. Brand is so important. And I love how you've picked certain aspects of, things like color and emojis and like vibe and aura. And now people can associate that with you. Like, absolutely nailed it. So good. And you can also hear it in your music. Like, I think that consistency is what people then start like relating. And then you start developing a fan base, or what you said before. Using the word cult, but you develop a niche.
yeah. Niche is better.
Niche
Forget
is
the other one.
the Shy cult would be a scary cult.
It would just be a pink
Everyone wearing
cult.
Hello
It would just
Kitty.
be bubbles and butterflies, and I mean, I'm all for the cult. But
So
I do want that, you know, like I feel like the music I'm making is very like lovable hyperpop music, you know, and like mixing whatever Hindi, English, Punjabi. And I feel like I want people to hear it and think of pink,
yeah,
you know, because I was thinking of pink.
interesting. Yeah, I love that. That's
So
so
yeah.
interesting. I didn't even think that you could think of a color after listening to music.
Well, that's what Charlie XCX did. Green is her color. When you think about green now, you think about Charlie. If you know her, if you know her music, you know. So
Yeah, you're
there's
right.
it's psychology as well, isn't it?
In it. I love how you got this blend of like London and Mumbai. You're like, then it, and then you're like, in it. Like, it's such a
Yeah, I
good
know.
blend.
It confuses me sometimes too, to be honest.
But what's one small win that you're proud of that no one else has clapped for, but you did it anyway?
If I'm being honest, I think it's just this year where I've started making music that feels like me. And it's not that no one has clapped for it because it hasn't come out yet, you know, but and I, yeah. But I just feel like it goes back to that whole thing of tunnel vision where I'm just doing what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the right people will find it. I feel like it's going in the right direction. I'm excited about it, you know. Of course I'm scared, but I'm also excited, and I think that's the whole thing, you know. Like my dad has no idea. He does not understand anything about what I'm making. He's just like, the melody is nice.
Does he listen? He listens to your music? Does he have your songs on a playlist?
Yeah, he listens to all my stuff. I send it to him, even though I know I'm gonna probably get like, I don't understand, you know, but a nice energy, stuff like that, you know. But for me, I'm just like, I'm still, and I really like when I was growing up, my parents' word was like my parents' word, you know. But when it
Yeah.
comes to my career, I think I know what I'm doing and I love what I'm doing. And that's all that matters. So I think that realization was the biggest win for me
Mm-hmm.
because it's just so easy to go into comparison mode. And I can't be asked anymore. I just want to do this, you know? I just want to go like full.
Tunnel vision. I feel like a common theme throughout this podcast or this session so far has been self-comparison. Do you feel like there was a point in your life where you were like, I really don't care what people are doing out there. I want to support other artists, or have you always been a supporter?
To be honest, I've always been a supporter only because I love collaborating. So, because again, it goes back to the songwriting thing. Because I started off as a songwriter, there was no requirement really for comparison. It was more about the collaboration.
Mm,
So, and I think my mom, she's always been very similar, and I'm really happy about that because she's always been the type to say like, you just like, what's the point of looking sideways? What's gonna happen really? Nothing. You're just gonna be upset if anything. So I think, and like genuinely being excited for my friends when they win things. Like I feel like if that's something that you can actually genuinely feel, you're winning anyway. You know, like my friends call me to tell me their good news. No nazar, you know? because they know with me, I'm actually going to be excited. And I feel like everyone I know, I'm sure there's lots of people who are like that as well. But there's also a lot of people who aren't, and that's why nazar is even a thing. You know? So you need to really set time out for yourself and like look inwards. Oh my God, literally this acting workshop has gotten to me because I'm like
Is
repeat.
this therapy?
It's
Am
like, am
I
I
sending
there
the
right
life
now? But it's true. I just feel like if
It's
you
true.
can genuinely feel happiness for someone else's success, like really, really,
You're good. Good things will come to you. And that's why it's so important to sit down and evaluate who's around you. Do they actually support you or low key, a little bit jealous? Now, for the little bit jealous of people that you know potentially do exist in the world, what would you say to them so they become a little bit more less jealous, a bit more supportive?
who cares? No one cares as much as you think they care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really, Like when I met you, I remember thinking, bloody hell, like she's got her shit together. And I messaged you about it as well. And I love meeting people like that because girls, boys, everything, but specifically women, I think, because, there's it's still awake right now. So
Mm.
I surround myself, all my girlfriends are successful stylists, successful makeup artists, or, aspiring to be that person. And they're all hardworking. It's like when you surround yourself by fitness freaks, you get into fitness.
Become fit. Oh my God, maybe that's what I have wrong in my life. Shai, you're also a PT. That's one
Yeah,
of your
fun fact.
fun facts. I was just looking at the show notes before and I saw I'm also a PT. I had no idea. You've honestly done absolutely everything. Are you still practicing?
Yeah, actually. So I do with my sister because she has a run club. So I've been helping her out with that. And I'm also kind of like starting my own side thing as well. But I'm figuring that bit out because I just like it's a lot, okay? It's a full music career, it's a full aspiring actress career, and then fitness as well.
That's
But I
crazy.
love them all. So I think then time just doesn't feel like time. You're just having fun. So
Obviously, you've been juggling a few things in your life. What's something that you do religiously that helps you cope with all these different things that you're juggling in life?
speak to mom. It's true. I just speak to a few people that I really trust. And it's not necessarily that I'm taking their word for gospel, but it's venting. A lot of people keep everything inside. I'm a Cancerian, man. I'm just talking about everything. I don't keep anything
Yeah.
inside. You ask me anything, I'll tell you. So I
I
think
feel the
having that
same way.
sorry.
I feel absolute same way. I think it's so important to just like get the negative energy out, but being mindful that the person that you're sending it to has the capacity to receive it.
You also don't want to burden the other person, but I think you're choosing wisely, right? You're only going to tell someone you feel is going to help you. So I think ultimately you have to just trust that.
Absolutely. Okay. Wow. I feel like I've just gone through like a whole like life coaching, therapy,
Oh my God.
music dive. You're incredible, Shy. I felt that when I did meet you. I was like this very similar to what you were saying. I was like, this girl's really got her head across a lot of things in her life. And I just love the fact that you have consistently stuck with a brand, even if there were labels out there that were telling you to change. I think that's a huge message to emerging artists to find who they are, their voice, and then stick to it. Tunnel vision. I think that should be the name of this podcast, actually.
Yeah.
Now, what's before we wrap up, we are just about finished time. Do you have any upcoming shows that you'd like to let us know about?
So I have a couple of upcoming singles that are coming out. But I recently had a show which I called Shai, and it was a really amazing show for me. It was very much like a few people that I called. It was like a invite kind of situation. And through doing that, I was like, I need to have some shows where it's like female only because just like from my past, especially in India, depending on where you are, I've gone for shows where I've felt very uncomfortable or I felt a bit like um, you know, not out of reach, what's the word? Like uncomfortable for lack of a better word. Like for example,
Completely
with
understand
the rap
you.
scene, you know, it's very prevalent right now
Mm-hmm.
and it's just men. And you do feel quite like I mean, you could just imagine this scenario, right? Like a bunch of like men probably wearing black, and then there's me wearing pink somewhere in the middle. Like, oh my God, why am I here? And it's quite aggressive as well, depending on where you are. So I think for me, like just that one little experience made me, and I like rap music, you know, I like all music. So it's not like it was because of the music, but I just felt like that feeling made me realize that I really want to have a couple of female only shows, you know? Like it would just be so much fun because I used to have this class as well in England called Bollywood, which is what I'm going to restart. And it was when I was a trainer, and it was just a Bollywood booty workout. And it was just women. There was like hardly, there was like one guy who
Doing
showed
that.
up who wanted to build his bum, you know? And it just felt so good. It was just a really supportive environment. And I know that has nothing to do with the upcoming shows, but that's just something I want to do.
Bollywood booty, of course it's got something to do with upcoming show. Maybe you just like insert a section in the middle of the show. Hey guys, we're gonna do a Bollywood booty workout.
My God, get your resistance bands out.
No, no. I love that idea, Shai. I think that's such a good way to not only develop a safe environment, but also develop a community where females are supporting females based on the whole entire conversation that we've had today. There is, no matter what you do, people are going to judge you. And naturally, I think females are quite competitive. So having that environment where you're there supporting other artists, I think you create your own community of like-minded individuals. So I love that idea. Well, so are you planning to do it this year or what's the
I hope so. I think for me this year, the main goal is to get the next couple of singles out because I have like 3 EPs worth of stuff right now that I just want to drop. And
yeah,
I'm just
studio
more
like
so
every day?
excited to just, yeah, just focus on that. And then, of course, all the collaborations will follow, you know. But I just feel like now is the perfect time. I know who I am, I know what I want to do, and I just want to go for it.
I'm so excited for you. Now, before our final wrap up, Shai, we're going to close this on a really positive note. This whole entire podcast has been positive, good vibes. Now, for someone that probably is seeing you for the first time, what's one thing that you'd like to share about yourself so that they keep supporting you? Let's rephrase that a little bit. Instead of why someone should support you, think of this is a community of potentially emerging artists. So these are people that want to be potentially in the same shoes as you. What's one piece of final advice you'd give to someone based on your industry knowledge as well as your experience so far on how they can make their art successful?
Okay, I love that rephrase. I would say be who you wanted to see growing up, you know, or even in your early teens.
Mhm.
Just be that person because you never know who wants to see it and who wants to be it. And you might just help a whole bunch of aspiring artists realize that that's achievable and possible.
Love that. I love how you're so authentic, real, and you. You're like not trying to be anywhere else. And that is why I resonated with you so much, Shai. Thank you so much for joining the Bad podcast. And thank you for being part of our first remote live podcast. I hope this does well. I hope you enjoyed.
I did. Thanks.